Well, do you know what this week is?
Read Across America?
It's Read Across America week. So we do want to go back to our very own Ted Perry. He's made his way to a new classroom. He just started reading this book, so let's listen in together as he helps read to some local elementary school students.
She learned how to climb and made her big break with a trail of chaos left in her wake. She ran through the day, chasing each sound in sight, and didn't slow down till she conked out at night. What does conking out mean? No, conking out means to fall asleep. Yeah. Her parents were frazzled, but tried not to freak. As Ada grew bigger and still did not speak, clearly young Ada, with lots in her head, would have something to say when it ought to be said. That's just what happened when Ada turned 3. She tore through the house on a fact-finding spree, and she climbed up the clock just as high as she could. Her parents yelled, "Stop!" as all good parents would.
How did she do that?
Ada's chin quivered, but she did not cry. She took a deep breath and simply asked, "Why? Why does it tick and why does it talk? Why don't we call it a granddaughter clock? Why are there pointy things stuck to a rose? Why are there hairs inside of your nose?" She started with why, and then when, what, how, and when. By bedtime, she came back to why once again. She drifted to sleep as her head dazed parents smiled at the curious thoughts of their curious child, who wanted to know what in the world was about. They kissed her and whispered, "You'll figure it out." Why, what, how, when? Her parents kept up with her with their high-flying kid, whose questions and chaos both grew as she did. Even Miss Greer found her hands were quite full when young Ada's chaos wreaked havoc at school. But this much was clear about Miss Ada Twist: she had all the traits of a great scientist. Put your hands down, I'll talk to you in a minute. Ada was busy that first day of spring, testing the sounds that make mockingbirds sing, when a horrible stench whacked right up her nose, a pungent aroma that curled up her toes. "Zowie," said Ada, which got her to thinking, what is the source of that terrible stinking? How does a nose know where something's to smell? And does it still stink if there's no nose to tell? She rattled off questions and tapped on her chin. She'd start at the start where she ought to begin. A mystery, a riddle, a puzzle, a quest. That was the moment that Ada loved best. Ada did research to learn all she could of smelling and smells, but the stinky and good. One hypothesis Ada thought could be true. That terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. She tested and tested, but soon Ada knew it was time to come up with hypothesis too. A hypothesis, that's a big word, right? It means a guess.
I can say it.
Hypothesis? Okay. So let's say we heard pounding out in the hallway. Okay? And Miss Keeper said, "What do you think that sound is?" You'd all come up with an idea, right? Let's say we heard pounding in the hallway. Pounding, like on the door, like you heard that. What do you think might be going out in the hallway?
Her like really mad.
Okay. Anyone else? Pounding. Mad. Somebody was mad. Yeah, these are all hypotheses you guys are coming up with. Good. That's good. I just want to make sure you knew that word. Then zowie, the stink struck again just like that. Hypothesis 2. It's caused by the cat. Remember, she's trying to find out where this bad smell is coming from. The cat couldn't make such a stink on its own. It needed perfume and some fancy cologne. So young Ada tested. The test was a flop. She started again, but her parents yelled, "Stop." Why did the parents stop her?
Because
Why?
she was supposed to put it in a dishwasher.
Or the dryer. Yeah, and you can't do that, can you?
Because the cat not like water.
Yeah, the cat doesn't like water. That's true. Ada Marie, to the thinking chair now. By the time we count to 3. "Enough," said her mother. "That's it," said her dad. Her parents were frustrated, frazzled, and mad. "Why?" Ada questioned. Her mother said, "No." "What?" Ada queried. Her father said, "Go. You've ruined our supper. You've made the cat stink. Enough with your questions. Now sit there and think." She looked at her parents. Her heart turned to goo. Poor Ada Twist didn't know what to do. She sat all alone by herself in the hall, and Ada once more could say nothing at all. And so Ada sat and she sat and she sat, and she thought about science and Stu and the cat and how experiments made such a big mess. Does it have to be so? Is that part of success? And are messes a problem? While she was thinking, what was the source of that terrible stinking? Ada Marie did what scientists do. She asked small questions, then she asked two. And each of those led her to 3 questions more, and some of those questions resulted in 4. As Ada got thinking, she really dug in. She scribbled her questions and tapped on her chin. She started at why, and then what, how, and when. At the end of the hall, she reached why once again. Her parents calmed down, and they came back to talk. They looked at the hallway and just had to gawk. No patch of bare paint could be seen on the wall. The thinking chair now was the great thinking hall. Look at she drew all these ideas on the wall, which you cannot do, okay? Right? You cannot do. But she was so curious, she turned the wall into a giant blackboard, and all her ideas came rushing out. If they let you, that's different, but you better make sure they're letting you, okay? That's a good question. Always get permission. They watched their young daughter and sighed as they did. What would they do with this curious kid who wanted to know what the world was about? They smiled and whispered, "You'll figure it out." And that's what they did, because that's what you do when your kid has a passion and a heart that is true. They remade their world. Now they're all in the act of helping young Ada sort fiction from fact. What is that? They're reading a lot of books. They're helping her understand how the world works. She asked lots of questions. How could she resist? It's all in the heart of a young scientist. So she's turning everything into a laboratory. She's asking questions. Why are things the way they are? What do I need to do to learn more about them? How many of you asked the question why? Victory, have you ever asked why? Have you ever asked why? Come on, every one of you has asked why. Every one of you has asked why. And as far as that smell, what can Ada Twist do but learn all she can with her friends in grade 2? Will they discover the stink that curls toes? Well, that is the question, and someday, who knows? So look at, everyone, so what's happening in this picture? Everyone has something in their jar that smells. From a broken egg, to a banana peel, to an onion. Do onions smell? Yeah. Oh, you better believe they smell. To a piece of calamari, to some blue cheese. So, what did you like about that book? Yes?
That she was like curiosity.
Curious, that's right. She was curious, and that's a good thing. What's your name?
Gregory.
Gregory. What's Gregory curious about right now? How the camera works, right? Are you curious about the camera? It's okay. It's okay. Jared was curious about a camera once, and now he's a photographer. That's what he does for a living. So it's okay. It's okay that you have a question about that. Did you want to ask him a question? It's okay.
Ask the question, Gregory. Go ahead.
And I know a lot of things like math.
Mm-hmm.
He's very curious.
Okay. That's good. That's the point. That's the point of this book, though, right?
Oh, him curious like her.
Yeah, that you're curious.
Boys and girls, if you forgot how you should be sitting, you would want to look at Helena, or Zoel, or Robert. Bobby, great job.
Who's right here?
Good, that's Bobby.
Bobby's sitting great.
Yes.
So, So if I ask you what you guys...
All right, we're listening in here as Ted Perry obviously reads to some elementary school students for this Read Across America week, just reading Ada Twist, Scientist. I love how into this story and how good Ted is, not just in reading, but really interacting with all those students, asking questions, answering their questions. So we'll keep our eye on that feed. But I had never heard of Ada Twist, Scientist, so I Googled it, Delaney. It's also a Netflix show, and guess who some of the executive producers are for Ada Twist, Scientist?
Oh, I have no idea.
Well, let me just tell you, Ada is an 8-year-old black scientist who explores people through scientific discovery, collaboration, and friendship with the help of her 2 besties, Rosie and Iggy. So who do you need to EP a show like that? I don't know, maybe Barack and Michelle Obama?
Oh,
I had
that's
no idea.
interesting. I didn't know that.
That's so cool, though. So what a good book they picked out there. Also,